Hello, good morning, happy Thursday. My name is Catherine. This is the Hospitality Hotline 2.0. Doing things a little different these days. I had so much fun last week making pancakes that I thought this week we would make something else again. We're gonna make homemade ricotta. I mentioned last week when I was showing you how to make your own buttermilk, that making buttermilk was kind of like a cousin of making homemade ricotta. And then we got to talking about homemade ricotta and how much we love it, and just decided that's what we needed to do today. So I'm going to show you how to make homemade ricotta. Coming in hot. We've got some fresh hot milk. Thank you, Nora. Okay, I'm going to talk through the ingredients really quickly, and then I'm going to show you how this works. The only thing you need to make ricotta is whole milk, heavy cream, salt, and vinegar. I am using, once again, same Z's as last week, the HEB white wine vinegar. You can use whatever vinegar you need, but the idea is that you take milk and cream, and right here what we have, this just came to a boil on the stove. This is 2 cups whole milk, 1 cup heavy cream, half a teaspoon of kosher salt. You bring it to a rapid active boil, and then you pour in vinegar. And I'm pouring in 1.5 tablespoons of this white wine vinegar. And just like last week when we were making our own buttermilk, the vinegar causes the dairy to curdle. Now, curdled milk, we're gonna stir this and watch it. It takes about 60 seconds. Curdled milk is usually, not what you want. Like that's gross, except unless you're trying to make cheese, which is what we're basically doing. When milk curdles, it separates into 2 parts, the curds and the whey. And you might remember the nursery rhyme, Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet eating her curds and whey. Curds are what turns into things like cheese or ricotta or something that you would eat, and whey is the liquid that's left behind. So you may have heard of whey protein. That's where whey protein comes from. It has all of the protein that you get in a dairy. It has all of that in it, and it's a liquid. So what this acid does, what the vinegar does, ooh, you can totally start to see it. See, when I take my spoon through, you can see like little flecks, and then you can see the clear liquid. The flecks are the curds, and the liquid is the whey. And after you add the vinegar to the hot milk, you let it sit for about 60 seconds, and then we're gonna strain it. Now, let's talk about what you're gonna need to strain it. You're gonna need a bowl, and I have 2 different setups here to show you, but you're gonna need kind of a nice sized bowl, and you're gonna need some sort of strainer that fits inside the bowl. However it works, like whatever size you've got will work. You could do it with a little baby. If this is all you have, you could do bigger. Yesterday we were making it with a really big one because that's all we had here at the store. But you're gonna need a bowl to catch the liquid. You're gonna need a strainer to catch the solids. But the holes on even the finest mesh strainer are still too big. So this is where you need something called cheesecloth, or I have a substitution for you. I wanna show you cheesecloth because this really is like the ideal, but it's sold in little packages like this. Central Market sells it just as a matter of course. You can also get it online. Don't go to the store for cheesecloth right now, but I want to show you what it looks like. It's this real gauzy, loosely woven fabric, and like this is probably a triple layer of it. If you were to unfold it, it's just very loosely woven. And what it's designed for is to kind of add the ability for the liquid to pour through, but to still hold the solids kind of tighter than a strainer would. So if you have cheesecloth, use the cheesecloth. But if you don't, get excited for this Corona hack. You can use paper towels. Now, it needs to be kind of like a good paper towel. I would not use like a gas station paper towel that just dissolves the second it hits water. But if you have quote unquote normal paper towels, you can use this in place of the cheesecloth. Now, paper towel is a little bit thicker than cheesecloth, so it might affect how long it takes for all that liquid to drain out. But yesterday, when we made our ricotta that I'm gonna show you as the finished product, this was made using this exact roll of paper towels. So I'm here to tell you, I'm not just telling you something that will work, I'm showing you. We literally tried it out yesterday. 2 thumbs up on using paper towels. Okay, I'm going to now pour this milk because it's been sitting for at least a minute. The next thing you do is once you've given it a minute to curdle, you pour the liquid into whatever strainer contraption you have going on. And you're just gonna, did we do a double layer?
Mm-hmm.
We did. Hold please. We're gonna do a double layer. Just so the paper towel doesn't tear, that's really what's going on. So you slowly pour this over your cheesecloth or your paper towel. Kind of make sure, can you see that? Just wanna like get it all nestled in there. I really wanna show you the inside of this. This is fascinating to me. You can really see the way the solids are clumping up and the liquid is kind of swimming around. So you pour this through, and then you just wait. It totally depends on how you like your ricotta. The recipe says to let it like drain for 20 to 25 minutes, which is what we did yesterday to get this finished product. But it's just gonna depend on whether you're using cheesecloth or paper towels and how, I don't know, how firm you want your finished spread to be. Now, we're gonna let this keep draining, but I wanna show you something. 30 minutes ago, I went through this same process, same milk, cream, boil, all the things, and I went ahead and poured it in so that you could see what it looks like once it drains. So here we've got, I mean, look at all that liquid. This is the whey liquid, and you can save this. I have people that tell me they use it in smoothies. I had someone tell me one time they used it to make caramel. I don't do that. I throw it away, but you do you. So this is in this cheesecloth. Let's see, let me get, I wanna show you this. You take this out, put our whey aside, and this is the finished ricotta. So what you do is you gently just scrape it away from the cheesecloth into a little bowl or container. And I'm not sure if I mentioned, but there is a little bit of salt in there that you add. And so what you have is this creamy, delicious, spreadable, better than anything you can get in the store, homemade ricotta. And it's just, it's fabulous. It's like, I really would like for you to taste this right now. It is sweet like cream, but it has a little bit of salt and it has a little bit of tang, but not in a gross way. Sometimes I think the process of watching ricotta is a little bit unsettling to see all that milk curdle, but the finished result is amazing. And so this is what you're kind of like making. So this is kind of stage 1, still draining. This is stage 2, still warm. But now I want to show you what to do with it once you make it. Okay, so this is our finished homemade ricotta. My favorite thing to do with homemade ricotta is to serve it with blistered tomatoes that have like a little bit of olive oil and salt and pepper. Now, this is kind of a 2-for-1 hotline because I'm going to show you my trick for taking what I would call terrible tomatoes and turning them into something amazing. We got a batch of tomatoes here for something we were making, and this is literally what they look like. They're like hard as a rock. They're kind of that disgusting, not even red color. In no way were these vine ripened. These are just like, this is why people hate tomatoes. This tomato right here is why people hate tomatoes. I personally spent most of my life not enjoying tomatoes until I had a real one. So if you think you don't like tomatoes, you might just not like bad tomatoes. But what I want to show you is how to take bad tomatoes and turn them into something delicious. It's a redemption story is what's going on here, in case you needed that. So hold on one second. When you cut open a bad tomato, and you can do this with round tomatoes, you can do it with Roma tomatoes, you can do it with cherry tomatoes. If you cut them in half and set them cut side up on a sheet tray, just a little smidge of olive oil, a sprinkle of salt, and then slow roast them in the oven, like 250 degrees for as many hours as it takes for them to dry out, essentially, you will be left with these oven-dried, concentrated, super jammy tomatoes from the worst of the worst tomatoes. And what happens is the oven dries out all the excess moisture. And even though this tomato is bad, if we were to eat this raw, it's kind of, doesn't have much flavor. There's still good in this tomato. There's still the essence of tomato in here. It just needs to be concentrated into something that tastes good. And that's what the oven does. The oven takes out the extra moisture, and then anything that's left that's good gets like compressed in the tomato, and it saves it. So this is what I would do if you don't have good tomatoes, which right now no one has good tomatoes. So we're all kind of dealing with bad tomatoes. We roasted these, slow roasted them in the oven yesterday, it took at least 3 hours to go from disgusting to jammy, caramelized, delicious. Now, what you're not doing is you're not roasting this on high temperature like you would like butternut squash or something, or a green vegetable. This is very low, very slow. You're just trying to like heat up and remove all the excess moisture and concentrate the flavor. So once you have this, I promise this applies to ricotta. You have a cracker or a baguette, and you smear it with a little bit of the homemade ricotta, and then you take one of the jammy, concentrated, redeemed tomatoes, and you kind of moosh it around on there. And this is like the most delicious, my favorite way to use that homemade ricotta, because what happens is you get the creaminess and the tang from the ricotta, you get the crispy toasted baguette, and you get the jammy, sweet, concentrated tomato flavor all in one bite. This could be dinner. Now, in the summer, you don't have to work as hard to get that amazing tomato flavor. If you get wonderful tomatoes, you barely need to do anything to them. You could just eat them raw with like some olive oil and salt and pepper on top of the ricotta. But in the middle of bad tomato season, this is the way to take bad tomatoes and turn them good. Okay, I also want to show you ricotta can go savory. Okay, this is savory ricotta. Stir it into pasta. Top it with anything salty like this, it's great. But ricotta can also go sweet. You can stir honey into ricotta and make a sweet kind of yogurty kind of topping that you could put on top of fruit or in oatmeal. It's delicious. You can also take jam. I love blackberry jam with ricotta. Same idea. I'm gonna open this. You get your toast, and if you've gotten a Hurley House cheese board, this would be a great way to kind of like amp it up. But you take your toast or your cracker, you take some of your homemade ricotta, you smear it on, and then you take some blackberry jam, nestle it on top, and the salty, tangy ricotta mixed with the sweet, tart blackberry jam. It's just gonna change your life. And you cannot get this homemade ricotta flavor from anything you buy in the store. Even the like good, expensive brands of ricotta, no, it does not compare. This is like far and away better than anything you can buy in the store. In fact, I did a list of the worth it, not worth it things from homemade for the Ina in a year. You might have remembered that Hotline, ricotta is at like the top of my list. It is worth it. It is going to change your life if you just, give yourself the chance to do it. I want to show you, I want to check in on our paper towel lined ricotta, our Corona cotta. This is about, I don't know, I would probably give it 10 more minutes to get to this consistency, but you can see how it's collecting up the curds. You could stop here. If you want it to be a little looser, you could stop here. And keep in mind that as it chills, it firms up too. So a few more minutes and this will end up looking just like this.
I have a question.
Yes, a question.
She asked, can you do the same with really overripe tomatoes?
Can you do the same? Oh my gosh, yes. If you can take underripe tomatoes, you can take tomatoes that are about to turn. Like this will save any tomato. I love doing this. My favorite way to do this is not just with the big ones. I love taking cherry tomatoes and slicing them and doing the same thing. It does not take multiple hours. It maybe takes like an hour and a half because they're smaller. But you can take tomatoes that are on their last leg and revive them with this trick. Like this is like this is a lifeline for tomatoes. And if you think you don't like tomatoes, this is a great way to kind of like entry drug into tomatoes. So this just takes everything that's good about a tomato, concentrates it, and delivers it to you. Any other questions? No? Great. Thank you for that question. We appreciate it. Okay, so that's homemade ricotta. I would love to know if you make it. I'm definitely going to put the proportions and the recipe in the body of this blog post, which will be at katherinesasser.com later this afternoon. In the meantime, if you have ricotta questions, oh, we do have a question. This is so exciting. Okay,
it's about the tomatoes, and if you would include the oven temp for the tomatoes.
I will. I will include how to slow roast tomatoes in the recipe. I will write it for large tomatoes. Just know that if you use cherry tomatoes, you can reduce the temperature. And here, listen, this is a life lesson. You're gonna have to kind of use your eyes and your I guess, sense of touch to know when your tomatoes are done. This tomato was really hard and took a long time. If you had a tomato that was a little bit more juicy and had a little bit more ooze to it, it probably would not take as long for all that to evaporate out. So you have to look, and I would say what you're looking for is a shriveled consistency. You're looking for the skin to be dry. It just looks old and concentrated. To be honest, this is a little bit too far. This is a hot spot in the oven I use. That's why these on the edge were kind of dark. But these over here are what we're looking for. Like it looks like a 90-year-old tomato. Like it just looks, the skin is shriveled up. There's a little bit of moisture, but mostly it's all gone. If I had let these go longer, all this extra leftover moisture would also evaporate out and they would get really, really dry, almost to the point kind of like this, like it's like a crisp, tissuey kind of tomato. You can do that. That's just a little bit too far. I like to have, like if I squeeze it, there's still a little bit of juice that would come out because that just gets all in the ricotta and tastes yummy. See there? That's just the amount of moisture that I want to have left. So just learn by doing, put them in your oven, see what happens. But these took 3 hours to go from really, really terrible to usable. So I will include all that in the body of the blog post. Thanks for asking questions. Anything else? Anybody? Okay, great. Well, thanks for being here. We might do something fun again next week, so if you have any requests, I'd love to hear them. If not, same time, same place. Thanks for being here.